Guys, Marisa Stone here with Simon Says Social and the Systems Lounge. And today we are going to talk about the customer journey. So let me begin by sharing my screen. And here we go. So what are we talking about when we talk about the customer journey? Designing your customer journey requires moving beyond the traditional funnel. The traditional funnel is something that we're going to talk about in just a little bit, but it is now time to think of a new way to reach your clients and your potential customers. This traditional method may no longer apply, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a few minutes. But first, let me begin by telling you a little bit about me. My name is Marisa Stone. I am with the Systems Lounge and Simon Says Social. I am your newly appointed powerhouse biz systems strategist. And what I do is help female entrepreneurs fall in love with the technology required to run their business on autopilot so that they can stay firmly planted in their zone of genius while serving their tribe and up-leveling their business. You got this? I can help. So why should you listen to me? Because I get it. I know how difficult it is to use the technologies that create these more efficient processes in our business over time. I actually learned firsthand how important technology was when I was putting myself through school, raising 4 children, working on my first degree as a single mom. This was a very, very difficult time. If I did not have everything in the right place, my schedule tight, my children where they needed to be, everything would fall apart. So I learned very quickly that using technology freed up my time. I was able to automate a whole bunch of different activities within my educational program so I could keep up to date with what was going on, keep up to date with the latest research, and really get involved in things that were happening around my campus. And so it really gave me a much more well-rounded education to be able to utilize this technology and help support my goals when I was going through this program. 1 master's degree, 1 EDS, 2 PhD programs later, I'm still able to maintain peak productivity because it's ingrained in my soul. It's who I am. It's what I do. So fast forward to today, and I've truly found my calling. Empowering others to use this technology to be more successful really drives me in business. And now I'm here to help you. You got this? I can help. So this led me to found the Systems Lounge. Now, the Systems Lounge was a great opportunity for me to really pour all this knowledge and information into one location so that those who needed it and those who wanted to follow me and those who wanted to learn more would be able to catch everything in one spot. And so inside the Systems Lounge, you get all the information you need to run your business using the business systems required to accomplish your goals, scale your business, save you hours upon hours of time, and ultimately increase your bottom line. Because if we're not increasing our bottom line, we simply can't continue, as all of us well know. You'll get resources, ebooks, seminars, webinars, live events, retreats, videos, online courses, challenges, and a whole lot more inside the Systems Lounge. We have them all. If you're interested in learning more, stick around as we begin your customer journey. So what is a customer journey, Marisa? You keep talking about it. Tell me what this is. The customer journey is simply an opportunity for you to walk inside your customer's shoes. A customer journey map is used to understand all of the ways in which your business or your company impacts the lives of your clients or your customers. Now, why is this important? Because as we move through the process of creating all our really cool products and services and things like this, we need to stop sometimes and think to ourselves, okay, does this really apply to my customer? Is this something that my customer really needs to have in order to be successful and move to the next level? And I know all of us got into doing the business that we do because we're interested in the success that our clients and our customers have. And so by understanding, by taking a walk in your customer's shoes, you can actually make sure that the products and services that you're creating and delivering are on point, and your customers really need that information. So that's really what a customer journey is. Now let's talk a little bit about the customer. So you may or may not know this, but the buying process has changed. And sometimes when change happens, it's a little bit hard to take. It's a little bit hard to kind of swallow, right? Because not all of us like change. But what's starting to happen, and what has been happening for probably, several decades now, is that we have consumers now who we coin prosumers. These consumers do not adopt a buying process that is linear, right? They want to explore and read reviews and do their research and figure out whether or not this thing, this product, this service, this widget, whatever it is going to work for them in their lives. And so the fact that the buying process has changed has put the burden back on the business owner or the marketer to really start thinking about ways in which you can make sure you are there when your customer is ready to buy. Now, when I talk about being there when your customer is ready to buy, I'm not talking about being this, helicopter parent that's right on top of your clients every single moment of their lives. But you do have the opportunity to really impact some of the touch points that your client sees and that your client is exposed to. So touch points are those moments in time when your buyer is actually open to influence, or that opportunity for marketers to really be there in front of their consumer at the right time, at the right moment when they're ready to purchase. But the digital age has really caused an explosion of product options and created a new, and as we talked about earlier, much more educated consumer. So there are tons of different ways where they might come in contact with you. There are tons of different touch points, right? So they may receive, they may see a Facebook ad that you've put out. They may see a video like this one right here. They may watch a webinar. They may, hear about you. Somebody tells them about you, and you've got to go check out this person. They may see a television ad, or they may see an ad in a newspaper or some other sort of magazine or media. They may, be subscribed to your messenger bot. Like, there are so many different touch points today that never before have been a reality for us. We all talk about the sea of noise, right? The sea of noise in the online space. Well, all that noise comes from touch points. So from blog articles to videos to ebooks to, to sound bites, all of it represent different touch points that your audience may have access to. And because we don't get to choose where they come into our company, we need to be cognizant of what these touch points are and how we can impact their buying decisions at the right time. So all this brings us back to this idea of this customer journey map. Now, the customer journey map is really all for you. It's all about you being able to understand and walk inside your customer's shoes. So this map is what you will use to build out all the touch points and the follow-up emails and all of those sorts of things in order for you to reach your customer at that peak time when they're ready to buy. So what is a customer journey map? Well, it's a visual representation of the steps that your customer goes through as they experience your product or service. And more importantly, the impact of each of those steps. Now, it is, a lot of people believe that, when you purchase something that you should be super excited and super happy the entire time. And that's not necessarily the way the world works. For instance, let's say you're buying a new piece of software, right? And you've got to sit down and you've got to learn to use that software. Well, as we all know, the process of learning to use that software can be a little bit difficult. So my customer journey as a customer learning this new software, I'm going to be super excited and elated when I buy it, I'm going to think about all the things I can do with this software, and then I'm going to plummet as I go through the learning curve of learning how to use the software. And so this customer journey map allows us to think about ways in which we can do what I call scaffolding, or supporting your customer when they get into these slumps where they have a learning curve, or they have to figure something out, or something isn't working quite right and they have to tweak it. Well, there's lots of ways throughout those touch points that you can be there for that client as they're hitting that slump, and then help to bring them back up to this really excited point that you wanted them to be, which is exactly why you got into business doing what you're doing today, right? Because you were excited, you found something that worked, and you wanted to bring it to the world. So the customer journey map actually charts the experience, and it helps you target improvements to support them while providing you with the greatest return possible. So it's basically a win-win. The other thing that I want you to understand is that no two customer journeys are alike. And I'm going to begin by showing you this illustration right here. And this right here explains to you that there are 50 bazillion ways your customer could come into contact with you. From the start of realizing that you have a product or service that they want, to receiving a quote or figuring out what the price is, to qualifying whether or not this product or service is going to work for them, or vice versa, you qualifying that purchaser, to satisfying that customer and satisfying the purchase and making sure that, this is exactly what they want, to closing the sale, and then putting your customer through this sales pipeline, or what we call today as a series of emails, right? This email funnel or email marketing process that you put them through. Many of you may not know that the original sales funnel was created by a man named E. St. Elmo Lewis in 1898. And that sales funnel had 4 steps. It was awareness. The customer is aware of the existence of the product or service. Interest. The customer actively expresses interest in the product. Desire. The customer desires that product or service. And then action. The customer chooses to purchase the product. Well, as we know, our world has exploded into so many more steps these days, right? This 4-step funnel does not take into consideration all the different touch points. This funnel was set up in the days where the insurance man came and knocked at your door, or the vacuum cleaner salesman came and knocked at your door, or the water softener salesman came and knocked at your door, and they sat down and they talked with you and they told you all the benefits and they taught you all the reasons why you needed this product or service, and then you decided to buy. And those 4 steps were all included in that sales process at that moment, with one touch point. The salesman is at your door, and you invite the salesman in, and you make a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and you guys sit down and talk for an hour, right? This is no longer the case. Today's world is very, very different. No 2 customer journeys are alike. Everything is social. Oftentimes, people will connect themselves or be part of a brand simply because they love the values that that brand holds. They may never purchase anything, but because they love the values of that brand, they're going to maintain connectivity to that brand, and they are going to be a brand advocate, right? Even though they may never have purchased anything. The world is a different place now. The lines between the social and professional are very blurred. You may know, the local grocer that you go and shop at, or you may, know the person that you go have your clothes tailored by. Like, those lines between social and professional are very, very blurred. You guys may be friends. You may go to dinner. You may, have, cocktails together or whatever. So those lines are very, very blurred. I often say that we're moving back to the days of, everybody in the village knew who the locksmith was, and the grocer was, and the teacher was, and the preacher was. They knew everybody in that community. And we're kind of sort of moving back there, even though there are those who claim that this social world has separated us, I would like to say that it's actually also in a way bringing us closer together, because if I'm friends with my stylist on Facebook, I know how many children she has. I know what she's up to when she posts things about what's going on with her family. And so there's a more intimate connection to my stylist now than ever before, right? The consumer is no longer passive. They're prosumers. They really dive in here and they get to know the product, service, and brands. Like, they do their research. They read those reviews. They look at the product manual online. They really dive in and learn about this product or service before they ever purchase. Sharing communicates identity. And this is what I was talking about a little bit earlier. People share what they think, what they want others to think they are. So I might be somebody who really cares about my health. And because I really care about my health, I might share things from some of these places who do packaged food, systems, right? So you can purchase your food for a month or whatever. I'm not one of those people that purchase my food because I'm interested in taking better care of myself and I'm very interested in my health. I'll share those types of things, which puts this aura out there that I'm interested in my health and perhaps I use this service, even though I don't really use it. Relationships are more important than ever. It should be your number one priority to build relationships with these new clients and prospects and existing clients and advocates over time. And again, I don't expect you, if you've got, 1,000 people on your email list or 10,000 people on your email list, I don't expect you to be able to sit down and connect with each and every one of them. But by using these touch points, you can be authentically true as you engage with them, which creates intimacy, right? The process is nonlinear. Nobody shows up at my door and knocks on the door and sits down and talks with me for an hour and I purchase the product anymore. It simply does not work that way. I can go to the store, I can order online, I can purchase from a friend. There's so many different ways in which I can find products and services that serve my needs. So it is no longer a linear process. It's also highly personal, right? The reason that we have all these touch points that pull us together is because we can share things about ourselves. We can share, like, you'll find out things about me when you follow me that, you wouldn't have otherwise found out if you simply showed up at my store, bought something from my shelf, and walked out the door. So it's highly, highly personal now. It's interrupted constantly and it's very noisy. All these touch points, while they do bring about serious value, they also create serious chaos. And so finding ways in which to stop the scroll and capture attention and really pull people into your product or service are paramount in order to make this all happen. There is a Pareto of choice. Everybody can choose. There's no longer one salesman coming to my door with one or two insurance packages that I buy. There are a slew of insurance packages and I can jump online at any given time and compare them based on what I'm looking for and what I need. And it's completely unpredictable. We no longer have the ability to say, okay, if I go knock on 10 doors, one or two of those people will definitely buy, right? It's completely unpredictable. You may, find 10 different touch points that reach 10 different clients and all 10 of them buy. Like, you really don't know anymore. And so by understanding this, it really helps you to create a funnel, a customer journey that is going to help your client as they go through this process. Now, it's also super important to realize that one size does not fit all. Just like the insurance salesman 4-step funnel no longer truly applies to what we're trying to do in today's world, one funnel does not fit all. There are a number of different funnels out there. There are a number of different customer journeys. There are a number of different ways in which people come in contact with you. Some are spirals. Some are very jagged journeys, like this one with IKEA. Some are sine waves. Others are relatively linear. Others, tend to move up or down a plane. Like, there are so many different ways in which a customer journey can be displayed in some sort of illustration for you to be able to follow it. So we're going to talk a little bit about this anatomy of a customer journey, right? Many different ways that people come into your company depend on how they want to come into your company. So, one of the things that I tell my clients all the time is we no longer have control. We don't get to choose, even though I would love it if they would, enter in my opt-in form and they would join my email list and they would get exposure and all of these things that I want them to do. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do that. They may reach out to me because they saw a video. They may reach out to me because they saw a webinar. They may enter my business by downloading one of my free products or services to start. They may take a challenge with me. Like, I don't have control. But what I can do is I can look at how things have happened in the past, and I can determine with some understanding which way they're going to come and which way they're going to go, and how, one of the things that I do is I teach technology. And I know there are difficult times when people hit learning curves, right? And so I know that all of my clients at some point or another inside my customer journey are going to plummet because the learning curve is steep. And I understand that. And so I choose to be there with more videos, more assistance, Q&A sessions and things like that to really scaffold them. So if you look at these different customer journeys, just to name a few, and we can go back and forth between these two slides for a moment. All of them have a starting point and all of them have a moment of purchase. So those two items on your customer journey are going to be there. Now, whether your people need more time to research, they need knowledge and information, they need, they're going to go through this kind of anxious or frustrated state. Those are all things that you need to decide about your own clients, right? So for instance, here's a cardiologist journey, right? People enter, the new patient comes in because perhaps their doctor has said, hey, you need to go see a cardiologist. The cardiologist sees them and it's very helpful. And it gives them hope, right? That, okay, we're going to be able to handle this. A couple of days later, perhaps there's some apprehension and anxiousness and maybe even some frustration or fear or feelings of helplessness kind of sink in, right? And so they start really seeking and looking for the research that's going to help them to come to terms with the fact that something is going on with their heart and they need to solve it, right? So they reach out to this cardiologist and the cardiologist helps support them through all of these different processes. The cardiologist is going to have informational sessions and, they'll be able to set appointments, and the cardiologist will likely give them pamphlets and tell them different ways in which they can impact their health and all of those sorts of things throughout this entire process, right? And then there's going to be more time. So perhaps, something happens, and palpitations or a heart attack or heaven forbid, something, they're hospitalized. That hopefulness or that, those excited feelings that I'll be able to handle this may plummet again, right? So this cardiologist understands that there's a lot of different emotions that go through, that their client goes through when they're going through their customer journey. And so this cardiologist works really, really hard to help make sure that those hopeful and seeking behaviors continue, right? And that these feelings of vulnerability go away, because they really want to empower this this patient to be able to take care of themselves. A similar situation goes on when you're trying to, purchase a home, right? So you'll figure out, okay, I want to purchase this home, and now I need to go to my lender and I need to see what they're going to provide for me. And perhaps I got the loan or perhaps I was declined. And so this mortgage company really goes through this process of helping and supporting. For those of us who have purchased a house, there's tons of paperwork. There's so much involved in purchasing a home. And so by going through this process of supporting and really helping their clients get through this, the client is able to be successful and purchase the home. right? The same thing with up here on top. When we're talking about somebody coming in and through word of mouth, they heard about you. Then they might look at your blog. Then they might follow you on social media. And then perhaps they see an ad or two and they get on your email list. And then they are retargeted based on, perhaps they chose to download something or chose to purchase something or not. And so you have this opportunity to retarget them and come back around and maybe send them reviews or testimonials, maybe get more social with them. Perhaps they receive something via the direct mail from you. Perhaps they see some sort of ad offline in some sort of media, right? They see other things online. They're on your newsletter, so they are receiving that information. And so they go through this process, this kind of sine wave of learning all about you as they go through the brand awareness, conversion, acquisition, and growth and retention processes, right? So it's a great opportunity for you to really sit down and figure out, well, what does my customer do? And what are some of the ways in which I impact them by the things that I do and I offer, right? And our goal is, not necessarily to keep them happy the whole time, but when they are churning, when they feel that they just can't do it and the value of this product or service now has decreased in their mind, you're there to help pick them up. You're there to help support them and help them to get where they need to go so that they can expand the functionality and they can learn more about the value that you have to offer. So that's your goal throughout this whole process. And the bottom line is, you got this. I can help. So I want you to watch out for the video tomorrow when we are going to dive much deeper into the customer journey and how to create your own customer journey map so that you can be there when your clients and your customers are ready to buy. I will see you guys in the next video.